Hi, welcome to another editions of our Equator College webinar uh, Design Conversation 2. So today we have Sumay from the Other Half Studio with us. So thank you for doing this this evening, Sumay.
Thank
So
you
I
so
will
much for
pass the
inviting.
time, no problem. So I will pass the time to Sumay for her to introduce herself better.
Okay. Hi, thank you so much everyone for joining in. I would like to also thank you, Chunwei, for inviting me over to share something really close to my heart, which is how can we continue to strive to make a very positive impact by using what we have, our skill for the greater good. Yeah. So is everyone like nice and warm, sitting down and ready already with drinks beside? Yeah. Sorry. By the way, I couldn't see myself on the screen. So if you realize that I will always be constantly looking at the Facebook Live also. So yeah, just hope y'all don't mind about this. Yeah. So I am Sumay. For those who don't know me, I I am the co-founder and visual artist at OtherHalf Studio. It was founded by my partner and I. My partner is actually my high school mate in school, and she goes by the artist moniker Arti Guava. So we actually started this for fun, and then slowly, eventually, we were like fast forward today, we are running it as a real business. So Other Half is actually divided into two divisions. We have the branding project part and the art installation part, which is the more artistic, fun, and you don't really have to follow clients' brief most of the time. So last year, one of my conceptual product managed to make it as one of the winners for Design for Good that was organized by Design Business Chamber of Singapore. I will be sharing this project later on towards the end of this sharing to give you a better in-depth information about the product that I did for them. Yeah, so moving on, this is actually the scope of area that I am familiar with. So, photography, art installation, and branding. The reason why I'm showing these slides is because from what I understand from Chunwei, he has a lot of you students who come from multiple or different disciplines, right? So, by you all knowing the knowledge that I have and what I'm good at least if you have any questions in the future or some guidance you would like to ask, just go ahead and ask me. Yeah, so this is some of my photography works. These are art installation that was done by Under Other Half. They all consist of some museums in Singapore and GTF, Georgetown Festival in Penang, that we participated in. Just a snippet of one of our installation for Georgetown Festival in 2017. It was called O Terpelanjat. It's like a peranakan word lah, like, oh, surprise. Yeah, so enjoy and immerse. So this is also our kaleidoscope that was done at Asian Civilizations Museum, Singapore. Similar but different digital animation that was employed in it. Yeah, and these are some of our branding works for some of our clients. Yeah. So for OtherHalf Studio, we truly believe in creating something purposeful but with very intentional values that we really, really believe in. These are the anchors and foundation until today in our works. So yeah, let me walk you through. Every time when we design anything, create a product or even our art installation, we always believe that everyone should be included. No one should be left out. So example, just to give you a relevant example, like for all our art installations, anyone who is wheelchair bound will be able to enjoy them as well, because we purposely put on a slope so that we anyone who's on a wheelchair would be able to experience or immerse in our art installations as well. And whereas for the graphic part of it, for the design part, recently we have a project with for a museum. So we are actually designing the graphic walls for the museums. So when it comes to putting on the main text for the exhibition, we usually have to have a certain form of guidance, like in terms of whether when you're sitting on a wheelchair, how much visibility, meaning our main text or whatever text we put on the wall shouldn't be too high up. If not, it would be beyond the visibility of somebody who's on a wheelchair. And then we do actually create like booklets of information for actually the visually impaired. So all the texts are way bigger. So, even if you're visually impaired, it doesn't mean that, you cannot enjoy or take on a great museum experience. Through all this, it helps as a tool for them to also be able to enjoy what, normally people like us who have normal vision get to see. Yeah. For me personally, Other Half Studio started this as a way of how do we use what we like, art, as a therapy. So oftentimes I really feel that people are very much attached to their mobile. They forget to look up, they forget to enjoy. So what we actually hope when we share, when we want people to take away from our art installations, is they can single-mindedly enjoy, immerse in the experience. But other than that, usually our art installations are quite Instagrammable lah. So you'll actually see people, taking pictures and being on their phone, like, taking videos as well. But other than that, yeah, I mean, the real intention is we really truly want people to just immerse, calm themselves. It's a form of calming as well to be in our art installation. Breathing new life is something that we really hold true and dear to our ethos, because with nowadays, I think a lot of people tend to sort of forget about their roots, and we try to insert that form of cultural elements in our art installation in order to keep the tradition going as well. Educational. So let me share with you what we do at the museum. So usually the usual museums that we work with, they are very artifacts based. It means that kids cannot be walking around their artifacts and around the museum walks, right? So we function as that educational corner, as a tool to, educate and also have this family fun zone that they can immerse themselves, enjoy themselves, and at the same time have a form of takeaway, like an educational experience for them in our art installation. Whenever we're free, we for Other Half Studio, we do embark in communal projects. Like last year, we decided to work with an art class that was introduced by my colleague. We decided to just make all the kids' day there by making them smile by actually reanimating all their artworks. So I was telling Chunwei, after this sharing, I will be sharing the people I've mentioned, whatever things I've mentioned in the link in Equator where Chunwei has shared the Facebook Live. Yeah, so today, what we'll be talking about is, you'll be wondering where do we start, right, to create that form of impact for the greater good. And, how can we contribute? Some inspiration to hopefully inspire you and see where it'll take you to starting your very first uh, greater good project. And a case study just to give you a good, relevant, real life example of how did I do it with the convertible desk box project. Yeah, and then we'll follow up and wrap it up by Q&A session. So yeah, let's get started. To me, art and design for greater good is just very simple. What skills do you have? And what is the belief? Like, what are the values that you are championing and what do you believe in, right? So by combining this both, you have this great potential. Like nothing is impossible to achieve. So how do you employ this in your work, in your personal life, and everything else? So how can we contribute? So all this, I actually have 9 categories, but all these categories are more personal. You can go more than that. But due to also the time that I have, I'll just share these 9 categories that I really hold dear to my heart. So, you can think about, how can I contribute to make these vulnerable groups like older people, how do I make their lives better? So let me share with you an inspiring story that I came about in Singapore. There was this group of volunteers that started, thinking how can they serve a better purpose for all these old people who are either bedridden or stuck in those old folks' home, right? And they came up with the idea of why not we bring nature or bring whatever experience outside back to them by through VR. I wouldn't really agree that VR may be the best experience because personally for me, I feel very dizzy when I'm, looking at something or using VR. But I think it's good intention to start this way. And yeah, so it was part of an experiment from a group. Inclusiveness is something that I really talk about through and through. As somebody who's from Penang, I do realize that my colleague actually shared with me about somebody she knows that is wheelchair bound, and she realized that because a lot of places in Penang is not designed specifically to be disability friendly, right? There is a form of a bit of like a hassle for the person to go out or to even dine in somewhere because there's no proper slope or whatever. So I do wish that probably if you are a designer or interior designer, you could be that part of the change, be part of that change, and yeah, like help contribute and help think further. How could we make things better for and be more inclusive in when we're designing or design thinking of any form of challenges? Kindness is something that, of course, obviously is unspoken. I believe that with little kindness here and there that we can try to employ in our work or in anywhere, it does create a form of ripple effect. Yeah. And sustainability to me, I feel especially for designers, how do we, like, for example, for my practice, how do I choose better, more recyclable materials for my art installation? How do I repurpose this material so they won't go to waste? Um, as recent as a couple years ago, I really did start thinking about this. How do I repurpose them and how do I increase the longevity of my installation so that, in a way, I don't have to settle this question of, am I really creating art for waste? Yeah, so really something to ponder about. Empathy, teaching how to teach people how to, you know, really care for someone. You know, it's just in a matter of sending someone a message just to check in, especially in this pandemic. You know, that could be just doing something for a greater good, but in the smallest gestures. Is there an awareness that you want to raise? Example, could it be about cancer awareness, or could it be about you know, the more vulnerable groups that you believe in? So, you know, these are all things that you can potentially instill in either your personal project or work when you're doing it. More so and so, especially in Malaysia when we are so multicultural, right? How do we contribute in a way where we encourage more open dialogues in the art or in the work we do? Let me share you an example. I was in the talk by this guy. His name is Basil Kananga. So what he did was, he's actually this founder for Being Bridges, and he started with some people to create like a deck of cards to actually explore or also open up the issue about racial or like very thorny and like sensitive topics. And with that, with, you know, through games and through these tools, you could actually potentially break the ice or make things more lighthearted and more conversational rather than, you know, very intense. Yeah. And like in times of crisis, as you know, I'm sure you've heard in the news how many people are contributing or, you know, making a very significant effort to help the different groups as well, yeah, in the community in times of need. So yeah, we'll come to inspiration. I would like to share some of the people I feel very inspired by, because they're really the ones making the change to make our world a kinder and better place to live in lah. Yeah. So I don't know whether I'm sure everyone knows about the late Yasmin Ahmed. She is a filmmaker, screenwriter, writer, and so many things. What I like about her is she always, whatever films or TV ads that she makes, it's always, you know, encouraging this much open dialogue. It makes people understand, empathize. It's, you know, how she puts in the magic. It's really this art of storytelling. So I really like how she's always touching the taboo themes such as, you know, interracial love and friendships in her films. So let me share with you. I'm sure you've seen this video. It was for our Happy Merdeka ke-50. So here you go.
Her name is Umi Kazrina. I like her.
Why do you like her?
She wears earrings, she ties a ponytail. She's pretty.
What do you wish you could say to her?
Do you want to come on a date to a romantic dinner?
And does she know you like her?
No, I keep it a secret.
Why?
I don't want the whole world to know.
Why not?
Because everybody will laugh at me.
Why should they laugh at you?
Huh?
Why should they laugh at you?
She doesn't like me.
She doesn't like you?
My name is Umi Kazrina.
Who's your best friend?
And
Han Hong Ming? Do you like him? Do you have a boyfriend? Who's your boyfriend?
Yeah, this is such a simple sharing. Yeah. And it really like tugs my heart every time I see this. Yeah, so this is another, so during the pandemic for COVID, this designer, his name is Isuke Tachikawa. He actually created this platform called Pan Aid Japan in times of crisis, and it was a means to share information about the pandemic, any like tips and tricks, and it's actually run by volunteers who wish to contribute. So he actually has this statement like, as long as you respect, you pay like proper respect to the website, right? Then you can share whatever you want. So it was really very useful during the time of the pandemic. Because, example, if you can't find face masks, how do you DIY a quick face mask yourself, to protect yourself? So let me share with you this very ingenious and simple steps that Eisuke came up with to actually make a face shield out of a folder. So this is him. So yeah, as a designer, I felt that he really does take the by using what his skills are to contribute for a greater good. So this next slide is Little Change Makers. It's actually run by a very good friend of mine. So what Little Change Makers do is they actually create products that are very accessible. So meaning it doesn't matter if you have a certain form of disability. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter like age or gender or whatever. Anyone can just enjoy it. And she does this by co-creating with individuals and communities from different backgrounds and also different knowledges. Like she would work with art therapists, example, like, how do you not trigger somebody with autism? So is it in the form of whatever she creates? The product shouldn't be of a certain bright color, it should be of a calming color. So all these are very important and has to be data backed rather than, oh, I just want to do this, but you just don't do a certain form of research. Yeah, so yeah, I really love how she's always very inclusive with all the projects she does. And if you see on the right side, these are the philosophies that she believed in for Little Change Makers. And I particularly like how in all these fun activities that she creates, it's also a form of relationship and bonding for parents like us with our kids. It's one of the time for us to wind down as well. Yeah, and I think especially with kids these days, they're always constantly connected on iPad and everything. All this is a very good solution for them to be, more hands-on. It sort of also expands their creativity and problem solving thinking. So yeah, like really, really love this, whatever she's doing. Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people know Seksan. He is a landscape architect who's non-conformist. I basically really love how his philosophy is in, everything is actually in simple, affordable, and local solutions. You don't have to think too much. And yeah, sometimes less is really more. And it's very obvious that when you see in the buildings that he creates, it's more of creating surrounding nature and instead of against it. So yeah, just very, very simple. Kengo Kuma is somebody I really look up to. He is actually somebody I emulate or sort of get inspired by in my work. So a lot of our art installations now, we are actually moving towards a form of interlocking system, simpler build-ups as well. So it's really, really like inspired by what he does. So he is into the pursuit of a form of sustainable architecture that is based on respect of nature and cultural. So what he does is he's actually employing traditional way of building to the modern day. So let me show you the next slide to tell you what I mean. The top one that you see, like a dome, not like a dome, like a walkway sort of. He calls it the Botanical Pavilion. It's actually built without any metal support. It's actually just using a way of fitting and interlocking like a puzzle. And there's actually no, if I'm not wrong, there's no form of like nail or whatever as well. So it's just using fully like interlocking way to create this shape, and it's really, really amazing. And if you can see in the material he uses, it's always in a form of, you know, very natural inspired material. Yeah, and he always believed that, you know, to build a building, you must be one and respect nature. It's not about, you know, destroying them, and it's about blending in. So yeah, we have come to the case study. Case study is something I would like to show you on a real life example of actually one of my projects that came to life. So last year in 2020, I actually was selected as one of the winning projects to improve lives during and after COVID-19. So what I actually proposed was actually a convertible desk box. Let me walk you through. During this competition, these are the challenges that we're supposed to think about. How can we solve these challenges through our art, design, or whatever discipline we have? So there is no constrict form of, you know, where you come from. You could be a business person, you could be a teacher, you could be an artist, you could be an accountant, but basically, you know, to come up with a form of solution that would help sort of fulfill one of these challenges. So yeah, so during last year, during the pandemic, if I'm not wrong, in Straits Times, there was a mention that, you know, although Singapore is always often looked as like a rich country, people don't realize that there are actually people who are also underprivileged. And in all this rented HDB, especially during the pandemic, there could be as many as 10 people crammed in a HDB flat with probably only 2 or 3 rooms. For me personally, I think the people that I feel I most usually champion are the kids actually. So I believe that education is important. So when I actually read the news, I felt that, you know, with this confined space, and apparently there's not even like dining table or a surface for the kids to, you know, even do their homework or do some form of study. So I've decided, like, why not I come out with a desk that could be turned as a storage for the kids to keep their books, and it's easily just, you know, stored in between a cabinet or just put beside a bed or anything, like something convenient. So that was how I came up with this whole idea of the convertible desk box. I wanted to design it as an ergonomic desk box as well, where you can raise a little up. So, but eventually that was a bit too difficult to achieve lah. So in my final design, finished product, this wasn't achieved, but for all you know, in a few months time, I might prototype again for like a version 2 or something. And yeah, so for this convertible desk box, some of the features are, it's actually foldable without any form of glue, totally glueless. Simple steps, enough for kids at least 3.5 years old or 4 to assemble. Lightweight, which is why I use corrugated board as the material. It is also very easily recyclable and sustainable. So that was how I started off with this whole idea. And there you go, like I managed to get it through. It was quite a bit of a challenge at first because this project actually was based in Singapore, and I had to actually work remotely with the vendor there, and also to work with my mentor. He was a pivotal part of the project because he really helped me, do everything and settle everything on ground for me, basically. Yeah. These are the steps. So for easier delivery and transportation, we decided to fold it up for you first. If not, it would come as being flat. So I actually have it here. Yeah. So the steps are pretty much simple. You open the box, you remove these two pieces of cardboard. They're actually the legs for the desk. You turn out two flaps as picture reference. You just hold them together. And then if you can see that there's like the gaps, right? You just have to insert it it's like an interlocking system. So you just have to insert it and there you go. And if you want to take it out, right, it's as easy as just taking it out and putting it back into the box, and then it functions as a storage space as well. Yeah, so these are some of the views for the desk box. And it was a very right time, right day. We launched this during Boxing Day last year to give to those kids that needed it. So we were actually working with a social enterprise called Beyond Services. They're one of the biggest social services group in Singapore, and through their contacts and connection, we managed to fund and also distribute it to about more than 70 kids. And because of the success of the project as well, we had a second round of distributing, which happened April this year. And the reason why I really love this whole folding project is because it's also in a hope to inspire kids to be innovative and play around with, how they can potentially come up with something out of a box, or out of anything. Anything is possible, and you can just build anything you want. Yeah. So yeah, what time is it? I think it's question time. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, do let me know. Chunwei, I can't really see the screen, so I'm not sure whether would you prefer me to
No problem.
unshare or...
Yeah, it's okay. All right. So thank you so much, Sumay. That is a very inspiring and very insightful. Right. So for all the audience out there on Facebook, you may leave your questions at the comment section. Then we will get it answered for you. So before the questions comes in, I think I have questions for you also.
Okay.
So I think all of us has been working remotely since the pandemic started last year. So
Yeah.
and when you were talking about this box desk, it's very interesting, and what are the challenges that you have to go through in order to get it done, because it's the whole project is in Singapore and you are in Penang, right?
Yeah, so initially, to be honest with you, I almost thought it was a bit difficult logistically to do it. So I was really contemplating how do I execute it, because especially what the pandemic has taught us is through Zoom calls. All this communication is key to everything. So it was very important for me to over communicate, and that was only the start of the pandemic, you see. So communication was still, everyone is still trying to adjust to it. I I sort of face a bit more challenge just because I'm here. So what I did was actually prototype it here and send it over to the vendor there. So that was what I
Okay.
did, because it was easier for me to explain it here, right, than it is, through Zoom there. And I was doing the calculation and the prototyping here. And for the on-ground distribution, I really, really have to thank my mentor for the project. His name is Douglas. He really helped me a lot in stitching up and connecting everything and everyone, just so that all this is distributed. So with all this and so many, each and every flat that they have to go to and home to go to, right? It takes them at least like about a day or a day and a half to distribute all this. So I'm really, really thankful and blessed, yeah, for him to really hold everything together for me there. So yeah, very thankful for that. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. All right, now with the course of work that you are doing, hold on, I think we have a questions that comes in. Right, from May, any plans in considering experimenting more recycled materials to turn into function in near future?
Hi, May. Thank you so much for your question. I really, really do have plans for this. So I was actually trying to launch a project, but that's based in Singapore, on how I can repurpose like my installation materials to create furnitures, like upcycle furnitures for the kids at school. So that's actually in the planning. I will definitely update you more on this. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So I hope we answered your questions, May. Okay, anyone else who has questions, you can feel free to leave your questions in the comment section.
Yeah. Don't be
Right.
shy.
So we come back to my questions for you. Right. So do you agree that as a designers is not always about how to create things that looks beautiful, but to create things that are able to solve problems, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I really have to, I couldn't agree more to this statement, because personally for me, I think oftentimes when we focus only on the aesthetic and only the client's brief, we do not achieve anything beyond. And I always encourage to always think like, instead of just doing A, which is what is required, let's think of how can we do A, B, C, D, and also add value. Add value not because intentionally we want something crazy or something out of it, but it is in the values we all believe in, trying to create a kinder and greater place for everyone. Yeah. And I truly believe that it's also through my experience, right? Last time when I designed, if let's say I look back from then and now, I think in my way of designing now is probably a bit more thoughtful than it is how when I first started. So I think all this is really through a journey and experience that every designer or artist or anyone in any discipline have to go through to optimize their thinking process and to think beyond design and think for the greater good for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much, May.
Yes.
Yeah.
So May.
That's like so cool. I'll definitely contact you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in design also we really need to have people comes from a very different discipline where we will be able to collaborate, right? So
Correct.
in a sense, how much does your work require all these differences from people with different discipline?
Okay. For me, I always believe in the whole idea of collaboration. That was also how OtherHalf Studio was conceived. I believe that really no man's an island lah. I mean, if you want to do everything yourself, right, you would be overkilling yourself. And somehow I really do enjoy having a team, because teamwork definitely make the dream works. But not only dreams work, but not only that, it's more of sometimes having that sounding board, whether this work or not. I mean, when you're working alone and by yourself, of course there's challenges when you're working with somebody, because there are certain things you have to compromise. But it's good to have that ongoing conversation to continuously improve and challenge our ideas to be better. So yeah, I do really believe in the whole idea of collaboration. For us, we're always open to collaborating with people with different disciplines. Just that for now, like previously, maybe just to share an idea, like the closest collaboration would be once we actually invited raw moves. Not it wasn't actually invited by us, like it was more of like our client inviting this contemporary dance group. They are a inclusive dance group. They were invited to also dance within the surrounding of our art installation. So in that sense, with that, everyone benefits from it. It's a whole form of enjoyment, and also bringing the whole immersive art experience to another level. I mean, my art installation will just be it, and then that's it. But when somebody from the theater is dancing in it, it feels like it's so much of a show and another different experience from it. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So hope
Yeah.
hope to see more interesting, more awesome projects from OtherHalf Studio. So what
Thank you.
by saying so, what are the future projects that OtherHalf Studios would have at the moment?
So yeah, I'm actually very excited for next month. We'll be having something on in Penang, but I will update
Okay.
you soon, because it's still a work in progress. But yeah, stay tuned. It's actually an art installation for everyone to enjoy. I'm very excited about it. So yeah, I will share when the time comes soon, hopefully.
All right.
Yeah.
So is there any advice to the young designers out there? I think as a designers, it doesn't matter if you are in graphic design or architectures or interior design. You still able to create works, that bring impacts to people's life, right? So, any advice to all these young designers that we have today, who thinks that uh, uh, they wanted to expand, or whatsoever that they wanted to do in their future?
Yeah. I believe we had this conversation a while back as well, Chunwei, on this.
Yeah,
To me, I started out. I didn't share earlier too much about myself, but since we're on this topic, I'll just share.
yeah,
I actually studied business. I didn't graduate from art school, but I truly believe that when you put your mind and focus to the right things, anything is possible. Don't never For my advice, I when I first started this journey, I was asking everyone around me who can, some sort give me that form of courage, or even help me think about the technical parts of executing the art installation. And I really really appreciate all these people who has given me all this feedback. So yeah, never try, never know. Don't think too much, and then after that you just don't do it. So in whatever you want and have interest, and in today's world we are so connected, and we have YouTube as our guru as well, right? Where we can just Google or YouTube and find whatever we want, in just a click of a button. So yeah, you can almost find anything and experiment anything and just be anything you want. And never restrict yourself. I actually started as an artist in a way where my works earlier on were actually prints on canvas, but later on I actually expand to doing art installation because I decided to just challenge myself. Some of our works are still in it, like for my photography works, for my partner's illustration, they're still featured as an element inside our digital installations. But yeah, we are constantly challenging how can we improve ourselves, or how can we create a bit of stress for us lah, to rethink about how can we better execute things. Yeah. So yeah, just try.
All right. Very, very good advice. All right. So,
Thank
any
you.
other questions from the audience? No? Let me check. Okay, I think last questions from myself again.
Okay.
to go into installation arts, what do I need to understand? What is the first things that I need to understand? I mean, people has been talking about installation arts, and so on, but not many that creates that impact. So, what do you think? Who the person who wants to go into installation art? What is the first thing that I myself have to understand in order for me to create installation arts that really matters, that really uh, uh, create impacts to the audience?
Naturally, for me, this was very accidental. We didn't purposely want to be art installation artists. So to be honest, we didn't prepare ourselves. I would also share a story of the whole maybe a quick one, like a thought process when during our very first installation is super. It's quite nerve wracking because that was the first time. There's no such thing as experiment. We did a prototype, small prototype, but that's the only experiment we had. So when we had to build it at a live scale, that was when we started troubleshooting everything. So to be honest, there's not enough planning. You must really experience it yourself. I mean, if you are not confident, then start with something of a smaller scale. Like for us, I don't know what got into me. Like sometimes when I look back, I'm like, oh my god, like there is nothing that could prepare you until you really sort of get into it. And yeah, we had to troubleshoot the technological part of it. The projector wouldn't work. I couldn't project map my artwork, and all this that came with it, that when I look back, right, I'm like, very blessed that when it launched, it was fine. But before that, we were encountering so much of all this. But basically, I just started with sketches, not even figuring the technical part. It was really, honestly, after my proposal got chosen, then I started panicking. Oh no, like, it's all only in concept, but how do I even execute it? So I actually was talking to my dad for nights, like we were doing late nights, uh figuring out the technical part of it, like, oh, do you build it this way? How do you make it seamless? Where should we hide this? Where should we put this? So there's a lot of questions coming out after that, but it was a great experience, because if you don't try, you actually don't know what could the failures be. It's also only through all these failures that that next time you shouldn't be doing it, and that this could happen. So because of that, you could be more prepared. So yeah, we came a long way that way. Yeah. But if anyone who is an art installation or whatever discipline that you wish to seek some form of guidance or questions, like, yeah, do feel free to let me know. I'm always willing to help.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight. I think we have come to an end of our design conversation for this week. Yep.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
so much
you.
again, Sumay. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you too.
Thank you for your time, and thanks to everyone who are watching this. So the conversation will still be in on Facebook after tonight, so you can actually leave comments as well, right? So thank you again for your time. Thank you everyone who are joining us. Stay with us again for the next one, and we will be bringing you someone special in the next design conversation. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night,
Thank you so much,
everyone. Stay safe.
everyone. Yeah. Bye bye.